Let me introduce Ainur Rakhymbayeva. Hi, Ainur.
Hello, everyone. You can see me.
Ainur is from Astana Garden School. She's a relatively new teacher, I understand, into science. So she's been teaching for about a year now. They are also using Singapore Science textbooks, but they're also incorporating it with some IB program as well. So it's a very interesting experience that they're doing. So they're not just taking the books as they are, but they're also trying to mix and match and add some of their own ideas. So it's a great place to learn, but also very difficult because you don't just take the materials and run with it. You have to innovate and think on top of it. So Ainur is undergoing some rigorous learning right now. So she'll be sharing some of her experiences with us today. I believe, Ainur, you have the screen sharing permission, so you can share with us. Yeah. Ainur is teaching grade 3 and 4. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, can you see my screen? Yeah. Once again, hello everyone. My name is Ainur, and I'm teaching Singapore Science in 3 and 4 grades. As I mentioned, I work at Astana Garden School, and this year is almost a year that I'm teaching science. So today, let's talk about my school. Astana Garden School is PYP candidate, and we have English, Kazakh, and Russian classes. And our lessons, subjects, languages, and maths are faith-based learning. And in one classroom, we have about 17 students. Why did I ask about the how many times do you have a science lesson? Because in our school, we just have once a week. As I mentioned, in primary school, we have science lessons just from 3rd grade. So before 3rd grade, they don't really learn science, they don't even know the vocabulary. And also I want to mention that Astana Garden School is opened before 6, it's already 6 years old school for high, but for primary school, it's opened last 2 years ago. So it's 2nd year. So we have a lot of students from a lot of other schools, and we don't really know did they learn science in that school that they learned before. And also their language backgrounds are really different. So, and we don't really have opportunity to divide them in the science lessons by the English level. So, for example, when I teach a science lesson, I have whole class with different levels of English. When I today I want to share about my experience, how did I start to teach, and what kind of problems did I meet on my way, and how did I solve that problems. First of all, I want to show you, so the main problem of teaching Singapore Science for me was children's comprehension problem. So the problem with understanding even the words, as I mentioned, they at the 1st and 2nd grades, they don't have this subject. So to solve these problems, I used several methods of adapting the materials. One of those methods is maximum simplification of texts using pictures, photos, synonyms, and videos. Another method is searching for other methods of explanation from different sources, because it was really hard to them to understand that materials that I'm giving and using from the textbooks and books teacher guides. And also another method is present a colorful and easily accessible PPT. As I mentioned about PPT, here I can show you the PPT that I made before when I just started teach science. That time I don't really know that I will have that kind of problem. For example, as I mentioned, in one classroom, I will have a different levels of English students. So here is the topic, fourth grade topic, life cycle. And before, I worked with a textbook and teacher guide. So there was like picture of elephants and just ask the question. For example, here you can see the question, how do different animals reproduce, right? And I end up with that a lot of students don't really know the word reproduce. So I needed to make easy to them to understand this word reproduce and to remember it. For example, here you can see this word reproduce. I connected with the word produce because this word is really easy and a lot of students can see in everyday life this word, right? So I let them know the word produce and then connected this word with reproduce. Yeah, this is about the vocabulary. And another slide, here you can see another lesson of third grade organ systems. So here you can see the first PPT. It was my first PPT that I used and I made with textbooks and teacher guides. Here we can see they need to learn about organs, and then we have to ask them what kind of organ systems do they know, right? And I came up with that it was really hard for them to know the word organs even and organ systems. So I started from the backbone. As we know, this is also was unfamiliar word for our children. So I came up with the adding two words like back, back, and then added another word bone, and where is located on in our back, right? Backbone, and then making the model of backbone. As I mentioned, one of the methods was searching for activities from different sources. Later, I will share that sources where I can find a lot of really good activities and the methods of explanation. Yeah, here we can see the same topic, same unit, organ systems. So we started from organs, and then I touched them like 5 systems, right? 5 organ systems. And then you just need to start from skeleton system. But after I found really good resource where you can explain the skeletal and muscular system from the example of robotics. Yeah, robots is really interesting for children are really interested in robots, right? Because a lot of students, they go to some extracurricular classes, robotics classes, and they also shared about their experience to make, for example, one little robot. It can take about like 2 hours just to make a robot, and then you need to program that robot and etc. So it's just a little robot, right? Small robot. And I shared with them the information about how it is hard to make really good robots which have like a lot of system, which really like our systems, right? Our organ systems. So it was really interesting. So children's inspired a lot. I have like 100% of participation of children. So it was really interesting for me. And then here I wanted to share about natural resources. Before I don't really have this unit. As I mentioned, I just have once a week this lesson, science lesson, right? So in the science book, we can see how many units there, more than 10 units. And if I count, for example, I have just once a week, so it's like I can cover just 9 or 8 units. So a lot of units I can just skip. So this was about natural resources. Last year I don't really have this unit, and this year I came up with searching different sources to find another ways of explanation this topic, because I saw a textbook, I saw teacher guides, and even for some of adults, it's really hard to understand this topic in English. So I was searching other methods of explanation this topic. So I will share later the website where I found these methods. It was really inspiring for me, because this topic, natural resources, they started from explanation from the people who lived in 1980s and 1970s. For example, how was their lifestyle and what kind of energy sources did they have, and how is our life right now, and what kind of energy are we using right now? For example, to make a food, do we need to go to the forest and get some wood, or we just can go to the store and get a lot of things that we want? So I shared about the lifestyle, Kazakh lifestyle. What do we have that time, 1980s? Here you can see the pictures. And then end up that children, they answered, yeah, we don't need to go to the forest to get the wood, or for example, to make light, they don't need to go somewhere and get some like stuff to make it. So yeah, this was really an interesting experience for me too. And also there I found activity. This activity was about also natural resources. The last part of natural resources was about the changing, right? The alternative sources of energy. So there was a city, the name of the city was Boulderville. So children need to help this city to find out which alternative source for them is really good. And they needed to explore 3 other towns which were using other methods of alternative sources. So there was a worksheet. Here you can see the worksheet. So this worksheet is a little bit hard for our kids as well. So I just made this worksheet a little bit easy. I maybe somewhere I changed the word, make it a little bit easier, and then added vocabulary for them to understand it easily. And then I wanted to show, as I told you, that internet resources that are really helpful for me is, here you can see Mystery Science. This website I opened for myself in the start of this academic year. It's really cool website where you can find a lot of like ways of explanation, as I mentioned before. For example, about lifestyle, I found it here. About a lot of cool things I can find here on Mr. Science. And also maybe all of you are familiar with this platform, which is called Canva. Last year, I didn't really know about this platform. I know about this platform, but I used it before just for design logos or photos or something like that. But I end up this year to designing my lessons. This is really cool because a lot of pictures, for example, if compare it with other platforms where you can make PPT, there you don't really have opportunity to find pictures, like good quality pictures, interesting and colorful pictures. But here in this platform, you can find a lot of stuff, and all of them are for free. And here you can see also Twinkle. I think all of you know what this website as well. Yeah, here you can find like lessons topics or units, and also maybe some activities, worksheets, a lot of worksheets in Twinkle. And here I linked to website where you can find a lot of activities, experiences and activities. Yeah. And here is, I don't really have a lot of, I didn't make pictures and videos from my lessons, just like when I remember, I just can make. So here you can see I just asked children to bring their favorite toy. And then our topic was about objects, I guess. So they learned to describe their objects. I helped them, help them to describe, for example, first of all, you need to introduce, right? What is this, right? And then how can you describe it, like color, shape, etc. Here you can see all of worksheets with our organ systems they made. Here you can see the backbone and digestive system, and also muscular and skeletal system. They made the hands. At the first lesson, I just let them know to describe the word signs. Are they familiar with this word? Do they know what is it like? What is their signs? So they described a lot of things. And here we had topic about changing physical changes. Physical changes in 40 minutes, they have time to make helpful, like useful physical changes. And then here we can see the topic which is connected with the weather. Yeah, and that's it. Thank you all for your attention.
Thank you, Ainur. This is great, wonderful. So yeah, it's very inspiring presentation. Thank you so much for sharing. The challenge really is the language barrier, if I understood correctly. So students, so can you tell us more about the students that you work with? These you said are Russian and Kazakh classes, right?
Yeah. We have Russian, Kazakh, and English classes. English classes, we have like in English classes, science and math classes are taught by the classroom teacher. And I have Kazakh and Russian classes.
Do you integrate, because I know that the Russian and Kazakh class homeroom teacher, they also teach естествознание, жаратылыстану.
Yeah. We don't really integrate. Because as I mentioned, they have, so we are candidates, sorry, PYP candidates, and we have coordinator who separate the units for each term. And in my science lesson, in our science textbooks, we have more than 10 topics. So if I have opportunity, I can match the topics with the main topic that children are studying, but other topics we cannot do the same. So it's really hard to work together with them.
And the PYP, they are trying to match the national curriculum, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Got it. All right. Okay, so in terms of language, you only have one lesson a week. How do you overcome the challenge of the languages, like vocabulary, for example? How do you pre-teach vocabulary? Do you use any strategies?
Yes, I use strategies to make, for example, I have one word, as I demonstrated, backbone. They need to know this word, and then I try to make them understand by pictures or videos, or for example, the first lesson, it can be pictures and videos. And after the lessons, we can do the repeating part where they can like remember, right? And then some kind of activities with the new words, with vocabulary. And activities I can do from Kahoot and Word Wall.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, that's great. Thank you, Ainur. Do you have any questions from the audiences? Maybe you can share on comprehension, language comprehension. How do you do it in your school? Do you face the same problem?
Sandra, can I ask a question?
Oh, sure, yes.
Hello, Ainur again. Yeah, I want to ask you, how do you do the practical activities with your students? Yeah, once a week. So you're trying to make like everything in the one class, for example, the theoretical parts and practical parts. How do you organize your lesson?
Yeah. So once a week, the first lesson of the unit, I can make it from engaging part, just to interested in them in that topic, and then after of engaging, of course, they are exploring. Students go and search for themselves. They ask their question and then search for answer. And maybe at the third and fourth lesson, I have like practical parts, like experiments and some kind of activities. Yeah, and for 40 minutes is really hard to finish that kind of activities. So we can leave the activity we can leave it for the next class, next lesson. So we can take about 2 lessons to make one really good experience or activity.
Are you using the same book as we do, right? Marshall Cavendish Science.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Nice.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ainur.